Hello again. Podcast on the Bet Rivers Network, brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. We come to you after another Jet loss on the Mike Francesa channel, on the Bet Rivers Network, on YouTube. And this is a game that, in essence, we can get to all the things that happened in the second half, the penalties, the mistakes, the breakdowns, and everything else. But let's be honest, this was a game that Seattle hand delivered to the Jets. They gift wrapped it. And we're all sitting there saying, wow, the Jets are going to open up a huge lead. Here they are. Here they are about to go up 3 scores. And amazingly, the Jets get a kick return for touchdown. They get the fumbles on the kick returns. All right. They're getting some gifts. It's been a rough season. Take them. Take a 3 touchdown lead. Rodgers had looked good early in the game, and then he misses Wilson in the end zone. And I don't mean misses him. I mean misses him. He's wide open. And a regular quarterback wouldn't miss an open receiver that badly. This is an all-world quarterback, even an ancient all-world quarterback, missing a guy so badly, and you saw him banging on his helmet, and then he gets fooled on the next play, and it goes for a pick six. So instead of a 3-score lead, they have a 1-score lead. And you're sitting there saying, is anything else going to happen to this team? And the game at that point was never the same. So one play turned the entire game around. And this was a game that was on Rodgers. There's been games this year that weren't on Rodgers. And early in the game today, you saw him say he felt better. You heard that he felt better. Okay, he told the announcers that. He actually moved around pretty well. But he was more off today than I've seen him all season. He was really all right. There were drops. There was a bad drop by Adams. There were some good passes that were dropped, but he was more off on his passing today than I've seen him all season. And those 2 plays, to me, symbolize it. It's the first time I've been a Rodgers supporter in that I've said he's not through. But if I'm going to be honest with him, I'm going to sit down with him and look at those 2 plays back to back. He misses Wilson wide open and then throws a pick six on the next play as Williams drops into coverage and then takes it back for a touchdown. But those 2 plays to me symbolize where he is now. And he has to be honest with himself. This is formerly a great player, an all-time player. And those 2 plays to me are so symbolic that I have to see more in the last couple of weeks, or he needs to be honest with himself. Now, most likely, the Jets are going to want to clean start, go get a young guy, start over, rebuild the whole thing, which is going to be nauseating, take forever. We all know that because they won't pick the right people, they won't pick the right quarterback. There's nothing, none of it'll work. We know that. They're the Jets. It's just one futile effort after another. But they might not have any choice. And it's funny, the game started out today with some imaginative stuff on offense. Clearly some help from Seattle. But you saw some positive things and you said, wow, they actually look okay today. And then came that play, which to me, they never recovered from. I mean, I knew at that point Didn't matter that they still led. Didn't matter that they got the ball third quarter. None of that mattered. They were going to lose the game after that. To me, there was no way. There was no way they were winning the game after that happened. It was just, to me, that was told me everything that I needed to know. I didn't need to see the second half. I didn't have to see them, have the same problems, pressure on the quarterback, him under duress, missing receivers, bad routes, drops, bad penalties, mistakes, all the things that we see time and time and time again. Seattle didn't play well today. I mean, this was an ugly, ugly game today. There were mistakes everywhere. There were turnovers. There were bad plays and special teams. There were mistakes all over the field. There were drops. It wasn't a well played football game. Neither team even had 300 yards of offense. I mean, Rodgers today not only had that unbelievable, unbelievable interception, but completed 53% of his passes and completed 21 passes for under 200 yards. I mean, it's just not what you expect. I mean, 21 of 39 for 185. With the weapons they have, just, it's just sad. It really is. It is such underuse of the talent. Uh, hey, we've been singing this song, but they today did what they've done so many times, and that is turn a win into a loss. This team is very good at finding ways to lose. I mean, and they clearly did it again today. And hey, it doesn't matter anymore. I mean, it didn't matter going into this game. I mean, they made it sound like it did, but it didn't. It didn't. Now they've clinched another losing season. Um, and it just gets worse and worse. And the only question you have now is how many weeks does Rogers play? It's really the only question that you have about the rest of this season. And you know, Smith's gone. I didn't think the kid played badly at left tackle today. Overall, I thought some guys on the line had shaky times. I didn't see him play particularly bad. I'd have to go back and look for sure, but I didn't see it. Um, I was in the car for about half of the third quarter because I had to drop my son off. He was going back to school today. But I was listening, but so I didn't see every play. But I didn't think he played badly. But let's be honest, there was nothing exciting about anything today in the offense, other than the fact that they got some turnovers and got some breaks and got a 100-yard kickoff return. So the Jets fall again. Really, the biggest thing to me today is that you saw things from Rodgers that were alarming, and especially that sequence down on the goal line, which turned the game around. Which clearly, I mean, because they were going up 28-7, and instead they let Seattle right back in the game. Seattle took a while to get it going. They didn't have any big explosive days today. I mean, they got the ball to a couple of their receivers for decent days, nothing exciting. Walker didn't have a big game. He was only 16 for 49 rushing. They didn't run the ball well today. They didn't even screen the Jets well today, which I thought they would. I thought they'd get Walker to the edge with the ball in the passing game. They didn't do that at all today. I was surprised by that. The couple times he ran a screen, he dropped a couple and it was negative in the ones he did have, so he didn't have any success there. I think the surprise or the stories today are in other 1 o'clock games, and the biggest one being what the heck what the heck is going on? And it's a storyline that now we're going to have to deal with. How about the Russell Wilson revival? And I admit, I did not see this one coming. Did you see now? I know everybody likes Cincinnati today. I would never ever go out of my way to pick Cincinnati. I picked them today, and I went back and forth. They were one of the 5 picks we had in the box today with Cincinnati, and I took Cincinnati, and I said, you know what, that's probably a bad pick, given Pittsburgh points. But it was only like 2.5, and I said I'm not even comfortable doing that because their defense is so bad. And look how bad the defense was today. Did you see the game that Russell Wilson had today? 29 to 38 for 414. These are the Steelers. This is Russell Wilson. 29 to 38 for 414 and 3 touchdowns. Are you kidding me? The Steelers had 500 yards of offense. You have to go back to Ben Roethlisberger on his best day against a bad team to find 500 yards of offense. I mean, you knew Cincinnati, would have a decent day in the air because he does every game. Burrow was 28 to 38 for 309 and 3 touchdowns. He does that every game. Came into the game, 27 touchdowns, 4 intercepts. He throws 3 touchdown passes every week. We know that. He's going to have a big game. Chase is going to find the end zone. Higgins is going to find the end zone. Okay, Brown's going to find the end zone. That's fine. You expect that. All right, so you expect them. They scored 38 points. Do you know how many times they've scored 30 this year and lost? Their defense is incredibly bad, but think about it. The Steelers go out today and yield 38 points and win. Can you imagine such a thing? They yield 38 points and they win. They win. The Steelers, who are going to the playoffs, who have locked up another winning season, and I mean, now with Wilson, they actually have an ability to come from behind. They have reinvigorated their passing game to the point now where it's something you have to deal with. I mean, no one had to deal with anything from the Steelers, and you go in and say, the Steelers, they can't put 20 up against anybody. Well, they put up 44 points, and they have that kind of passing day, which is absolutely staggering. Unbelievable. I admit that I like Trevor Lawrence more than most people. Okay, a lot of people are down on him. I'm not. I think he's going to have a good career. I don't know that he's going to have it in Jacksonville. If he gets the right coach, I think he can start having it next season. He took the cheapest shot hit today, and they lost the game. He was carted off after an absolutely Aziz Al-Shir hit him with an elbow in the head when he was going down on a run that started a brawl, and he was thrown out of the game. He's going to get suspended. He's going to get an incredible fine, and he deserves all of it. And he deserves people going after him. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was a staggering hit. If you haven't seen it, check it out on Lawrence. He's had a tough year physically. They've had an unbelievable year on the season, in terms of wins and losses. He's been hurt all year. He's got a bad shoulder. He came back today and took this shot. Boy, it's been a tough year for him. I mean, he has really hit rock bottom. But I'm telling you, I believe there's a career there. I would trade for him in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. I'm just telling you right now. I think he's got a lot of career left. I don't think there's any question. The Colts today were an inch from having their season over. The Pats were winning. Okay. And the Colts drove, scored. They came back. Richardson hit Pierce for a touchdown. and then they decide to go for two. They get the two. Richardson runs it in, and they win the game 25-24 to keep their playoff hopes alive. That was an enormously big win for the Colts. Absolutely enormous. They're now 6-7, and that was, recently, if they lost that game and went to 5-8, their season was over. Absolutely over. So they had to win that game, and it was a big win for the Colts, who go now into a bye week and then go to Denver in a game that has incredible playoff implications. So the Colts kept their season alive. They kept everything alive with a 25-24 win. Uh, Chargers beat the Falcons. The Falcons had that division locked up. But now, three straight losses later, they are in trouble. They're not scoring. Cousins is not putting up good numbers right now. Four interceptions today. They lose 17-13 to the Chargers. Um, and, very quietly, Laird McConkey's had a tremendous year. He really has. Bowers, we've talked about. Check out Laird McConkey. 9 catches, 117 yards, most of the damage in the first half. But he has had a very, very good year. And the Bucks, who have a very good schedule the rest of the way, who are just coming back with a win last week after losing 4 weeks in a row, have a chance now. Have a chance now to win that division. They really do. Atlanta's 6-6. Tampa with a win today be 6-6. And I know Atlanta's beaten the Bucks twice, but Tampa's got an easier schedule, and Atlanta has hit the skid. And Cousins, who was having a solid year, has really tailed off dramatically there, and that has impacted that team a lot. It really has. Bucks are up on the Panthers. Panthers are playing better now. You got the Eagles and the Ravens playing, which should be an interesting game. I figured the Ravens would win it. You know why I figured the Ravens would win it today? They need the game a lot more. Need the game. It's home, and they need the game immensely more than the Eagles do. When you get two teams this part of the season, and one team's got a huge cushion, as the Eagles do, and the other team is really in a fight, go with the team that needs the game more, and they clearly need the game a ton more than the Eagles do. I mean, the Eagles have a 3.5 game lead in the division. I mean, they have no problems. So I think that's why I like the Ravens in that game today. Um, from that standpoint, so that's one of the late games. And tonight, yeah, the Niners playing for their very lives in snowy Buffalo against the Bills. But the storyline early, some crazy late comebacks. That game, the Vikings coming back with a big second half, big finish. Okay, uh, and they keep finding a way to win. So give them credit. They really do. They keep finding a way to win the game. And today, Donald does the job again. And, the Packers, the Vikings, they keep chasing the Lions. The Lions keep winning, but they keep chasing the Lions. And you have three teams there with really, outstanding records. You got Minnesota 10-2. You have Green Bay at 9-3, and you have Detroit at 11-1. They're all going to the postseason. Everybody's going. And they keep finding a way to win. So you had a lot of wacky finishes. The Chargers win today. Steelers win behind Russell Wilson. Vikings come from behind, win. Colts win with 12 seconds left. Go for two, win that game. Seahawks come back and win that game. Commanders got back on a winning note today with a big first half against the Titans. And then the Texans beat the Jaguars after knocking Lawrence, you know, sideways and knocking them out of the game in the second quarter of the game today. So that's where we are. Not a lot was made, I don't think, because it's the Raiders and the Chiefs. But there was a lot of funny business on that last play with the Raiders. First of all, and I like Antonio Pierce. I've always liked him. He was a solid player. He was a stand-up player. He was a leader in the locker room. He used to come on our show all the time. Matter of fact, one year he was on every week and he was terrific. So I've always liked him. But what was he thinking going for another snap there? There was nothing to be gained there. They had what they needed. It's 15 seconds. What are you going to do? All you're going to do is screw it up. And I would like to see a definitive look. I haven't seen it yet. I think this week I'll be able to find it on all 22. Clearly, there's a very good chance they called a false start there before they called a illegal shift. And if they did, that play didn't exist. Just moving back 5 yards, and they get to play again. So the bottom line is, Chiefs got another break, enormous break, and they are living very lucky now. And it's week after week, and they've gotten some games recently that they didn't deserve to win. The Denver game, the Raider game. They should have lost both games. They should be on a 3-game skid right now. And if they were on a 3-game skid, instead of being where they are right now, people wouldn't be acting the same way about them at 11-1 if they were on a 3-game losing streak. They'd be saying, "Watch out, what's going on with this team?" They should be saying that more now. I'm guilty of that too. I ignored that going into the Raider game, and then I said in the Raider game, you know what? There's a lot here that you got to be worried about. They can't score anymore. And now their defense has shown breakdowns. So the bottom line is, you got to keep an eye on the Chiefs down the stretch of the season because they are not playing like a championship team. They are surviving. They are putting up wins, but they're not doing it with anything that looks impressive. And they've been flat out lucky the last couple of games. They won games they shouldn't have won. And they got gifted in this Raider game because Antonio screwed up. He just should have kicked the field goal. And they may have messed up with the last play from a official standpoint. Be that as it may, he never should have run another play. There was nothing to be gained there. What was he going to do? Throw it down the field and gain 3 yards and throw it out of bounds? If you tried to throw it more than 3 or 4, you run the risk of them tackling him inbounds and the game's over. You get a bad snap, you get a penalty. None of that you want. So kick the ball. These coaches, so many of them mess up on the sidelines so much. And, I told you the other day after I did the Thanksgiving one, there's some things that coaches can't survive. I didn't know the Bears would pull the trigger that right away, but I knew his career was over. He was living on borrowed time, and that was the end because he tried to defend that play. You can't defend it. There's just no way. There's just no way to defend it. I mean, it made no sense. Absolutely, and it's the last straw for a team that has lost 3 games. One on a Hail Mary where one of the defenders is off talking on to the sideline instead of defending. Then losing on a last second block in the Packer game when you get your field goal blocked, and then losing this game where you don't. I mean, listen, they got unlucky. If not for a offensive pass interference call on Cole Kmet, they're going to win the game. They're not going to tie the game. They're going to win the game. That negated a 21-yard pass play, and the Lions were back on their heels. It was over. They were going into the end zone on the next play. They were going to win. And that 21-yard play messed everything up. That 21-yard call back, that 21-yard play because of an offensive pass interference. that didn't really aid the play. It happens, and heads had a roll. But so many times you see things that are just elementary, and these coaches mess it up on the sideline. Good coaching is rare. The more you watch it, good coaching is rare. We'll see you later.